what's happening this instant. ABC 11 Eyewitness News at 9 starts right now.
And welcome back on this Saturday, March the 5th. Feels like March, 41 degrees at 9 o'clock. I'm Anthony Wilson.
I'm Caitlin Knute. Anthony and I were commiserating over a chilly start to the morning, but there is hope.
Good.
Steve Stewart has promised us warmer weather, and I know you hate it when I use the P word, the promise word, but you feel pretty confident in this, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
It's really going to get nice and warm next week. It's feeling like spring, shorts and T-shirts, and probably seeing some flowers starting to come up, some more tree buds. Yeah, absolutely.
You knew this morning an overnight shooting near the very spot where a man was fatally shot by a police officer earlier in the week. Now, this most recent case happened around midnight on Bragg Street in Southeast Raleigh. Just yards away from Akil Denkins was killed during an encounter with a Raleigh police officer. This time, police were not involved. The victim here was taken to the hospital in a private vehicle. We're told his injuries are considered non-life-threatening. Police are still investigating.
Meantime, the investigation of Denkins' death continues. On Friday, hundreds of people turned out in Southeast Raleigh for his funeral. So many wanted to attend, but the crowd spilled out of the Bible Way Temple, many listening from the grass outside. Raleigh police say Akil Denkins struggled with the officer and Denkins pulled a gun. Meanwhile, 3 investigations of the Denkins death are underway. NAACP attorney Irv Joyner says there are too many questions left unanswered by the initial police report and autopsy.
Was he shot from the back? This question about the gun, where did the gun come from? If it had Mr. Jenkins' prints on it, and what other evidence is there that he was armed? Witnesses that we have indicated that he was not.
Joyner says the family intends to have an independent autopsy performed on Denkins' body. The SBI investigation could take weeks or months.
Protesters trying to shut down a performance of The Lion King at the DPAC last night. Now, the show was not the real target of their frustration. Instead, they were focused on conditions inside the Durham County Jail, which is right across the street from DPAC. Elena Athens explains.
They first stormed Mangum Street, then Pettigrew. Demonstrators were weaving around cars, drivers caught in the middle of a march. The group went to the American Tobacco District and were yelling at security and police officers.
Justice for Matthew!
2 people were escorted out of the DPAC. They were chanting as they were led away by officers, as you can see here from Chopper 11 HD. The group angry, saying inmates at the Durham County Detention Center are being abused. All this taking place on Durham streets as patrons of DPAC watched on. They came for the Lion King musical and ended up seeing a different kind of show.
While everybody's over there smiling and grinning, people are over here starving, dying, being medically neglected.
This jail is designed to be a machine of brutality.
There have been 3 deaths at the detention center.
They are being frozen half to death.
Inmate Matthew McLean died last month while he was locked up. Protesters believe it was because he wasn't given proper medical care. The Durham County Sheriff's Office says investigators are conducting a comprehensive investigation that includes a timeline of events. Also, recently, the Department of Public Health came to the jail after sanitation concerns were raised. A citizen reported that inmates found worms in the kitchen area. The Sheriff's Office says of that, investigators reported that there were no significant irregularities. But these protesters would disagree.
I've had friends in a lot of different jails and prisons, and pretty much always the conditions in there are reprehensible.
And the Sheriff's Office did email me saying that the detention center is subject to unscheduled inspections to make sure that it's meeting state and federal regulations. Now, there were no major incidents or arrests. DPAC, however, did take down the sign for the Lion King off of its marquee. We should point out that Disney is the parent company of ABC 11. In Durham, Elena Athens, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
You're looking at a Donald Trump rally in New Orleans that turned ugly when his supporters turned on protesters who repeatedly interrupted the billionaire Republican. Video shows Trump supporters shouting and then shoving the protesters, many of whom were with the Black Lives Matter movement. Louisiana has its GOP presidential primary today, and meanwhile, Trump is scheduled to open his first campaign office in Raleigh today. It'll be in the 800 block of Spring Forest Road. Trump is also scheduled 2 visits to North Carolina next week. He'll campaign in Concord on Monday and then on Fayetteville on Tuesday. Both of those rallies are free and open to the public.
Democrats Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders are are set to square off in a presidential debate tomorrow in Flint, Michigan. That city's water crisis, of course, is expected to be a major focus. Clinton has said the crisis never would have happened if it had been in a wealthy, predominantly white community. Sanders is calling for Republican Governor Rick Snyder's resignation over that disaster.
New this morning, the U.S. Supreme Court has blocked the state of Louisiana from enforcing a law that could force all but one of that state's abortion clinics to close. The law is similar to one in Texas that's being challenged before the court. Lawmakers in both states say higher standards being imposed would improve patient safety. The opponents, though, say the laws also considered in other states are aimed solely at shutting down abortion facilities.
New this morning, prosecutors making the case for unlocking an encrypted iPhone used by one of the two San Bernardino shooters who killed 14 people. Prosecutors say they want the data to see if there was a third attacker. The question of a third attacker has nagged investigators despite no supporting evidence. So far, Apple continuing to refuse to unlock that phone.
It's 9:06 now. A tornado outbreak last month left behind a lot of damage.
Coming up on Eyewitness News, the new technology they say could provide an even earlier warning.